So, what inspired you to pursue a career in BFSI sector?
So I started off my journey back in 2002. And that was a time when insurance as an industry was really coming up. Of course, post my post graduation, one wants to get into a corporate job. And that's what I aspired for. Wanted to be in a corporate job, competing with the others. Wanted to see myself as a successful person over the next 20, 25 years. And I think that the fact that at that point of time, insurance was an upcoming sunrise industry, that was obviously the first choice of employment that I'd wanted to. And I got placed on day zero. So, it just, I don't know if it happened by luck, by chance, but that is an industry that attracted me at that point of time when I was about to start my career.
So, what qualities do you believe are essential for effective leadership?
So, as leaders, most of us tend to have very large teams, and I think the first thing that comes to me as an effective leader is I think our patience to hear our teammates. A lot of us sometimes are in a mad rush to answer the question that the team has probably put across to you. But as a virtue, it's very important to have that patience to hear what your team wants to say. Because many times they don't say it upfront, and you really need to read between the lines to see where the team is headed, whether they're aligned with the organization objectives, whether they're aligned with what you as a leader has thoughts. Uh, so, yeah, effectively, one is you need to be a patient listener. And two, of course, is you have to be empathetic. It cannot always be transactional. Some of your teammates might not deliver, and there might be a reason behind it. And unless we are empathetic and we're only going to be transactional, we're only going to talk about numbers and targets morning, noon, and night. I don't think the team will really, abide by you. They won't see a bond with you. So if you have to really be an effective leader, I think one has to gain trust of your team members. And that can only come when the team truly believes that you'll stand by them. Uh, and of course, you have to be there. You have to fight for them. That's when the team will back you up. And when you have a very strong team backing you up, then I believe that you can go all out and conquer the world. It's not about the leader. It's always about the team that stands behind you. I genuinely believe that the team is what really brings the strength to your leadership.
So, how do you handle challenging situations and make critical decisions?
I think as a woman, it's not about handling challenges. Very honestly, it's about how you multitask, because at all points of time, there is always work, parents, in laws, children, and maybe some relatives who require and seek your attention. And I think from day one, it's always been about multitasking and how well do you really balance that. And I think a lot of people talk about work-life balance. It's very difficult to achieve it unless you really have thought through it. You're practical about things. There are days when you tend to ignore some part of your familial responsibilities. There are days when you probably don't pull up as much as required at work, but you've just got to live with it. At the end of it, it's the journey. When you look back, and if you're satisfied with the way you've put in efforts, you've raised a good family, you've done well at work, it's not always about success. It's about what kind of mental peace are you satisfied with what you've done. That I think is really where the challenge is. So it's not challenge about work, it's not challenge about home. I think sometimes we as women tend to challenge our own beliefs. We tend to feel that we're not doing enough. So I think the challenge lies within ourselves, and if you're able to make peace on which day and which month do you really want to focus on what, I think that's really where you tend to balance out what you've really set out to achieve. So work, and we as I think a sandwich generation, there's always some responsibility calling out to us, right? And when I mean a sandwich generation, people like us, we also have to look after our parents, and I love to look after my parents. So beyond parents, there are kids, there's a husband, there's a house, there's work. There are always multiple things that is really calling out for your attention. So I think mentally, if we've decided what our priority for the day is, we'll end the day a lot more peaceful.
So, what is a professional risk you took that greatly paid off?
I wouldn't be able to pin a particular risk as such, but I can, all that I can say is in the last 22 years of my career, I've probably never done the same thing over a period of time repeatedly. Right? There've always been new assignments within the group. Of course, I've moved. Uh, I've been part of the broking industry. I've been part of the insurance industry. I've also been part of an NBFC at some point of time. And I think each assignment has brought its own sets of challenges and its own set of learning as well. Right. And I've been able to dwell on my past experience in the current assignments. It really helps because I've moved from business into products now, into customer service. There are a whole bunch of things that I've ended up doing. But I think my most challenging assignment was probably my first assignment, where I was posted in Kerala. And it was an extremely demanding role where I had to travel across the length and breadth of Kerala. But today, when I look back at that particular assignment, I think there's a lot that I've learned. While at that point of time, of course, it seemed extremely endearing and extremely overwhelming, so to say, for someone who's just started their corporate career. But today, when I look back at it, I think a lot of my learnings, a lot of my approach to solving for problems are really shaped from that experience. So I genuinely believe that one should never say no to a new experience, however challenging it is. One should always move out of a comfort zone. The minute I feel I'm getting into a comfort zone, I immediately reach out and try and see what can be done to get me out of the comfort zone. Because once you get into the comfort zone, then there's no stopping you from that downfall, right? When you keep learning, you also evolve with the industry. And our industry is such where we have a lot of young, entrants. And they come, and I believe every generation is, a notch more intelligent than the previous. So they also come with their whole bit of understanding, intelligence that they bring to the table. I work with a bunch of youngsters, and I'm amazed at the kind of ideas and the kind of ways of work that they bring to the table on a daily basis. Maybe at their age, when I started off, maybe we were not as innovative. So for us to also keep up with that, it's extremely important to keep challenging oneself, keep looking around, keep evolving as an individual, not just professionally, I think even personally. My kids probably would not, be able to connect with me if I said, "Oh, hey, look, I don't understand Insta, and I don't understand all those acronyms that you guys keep writing to me." It becomes a bit challenging, right? And they'll tend to call you a millennial or a baby boomer, and you don't want your kids to keep telling you that, "Look, you're a baby boomer." Not a baby boomer, but whatever, you're a boomer, right? So it's important, I feel, even to keep up with our own kids, to ensure that they stay engaged with us. It's very important for us to kind of keep up with what are the current trends.
Yeah, so how do you balance your personal and professional life?
Very interesting question. And I have this question in my head every single morning when I wake up, because honestly, there's no perfect or right answer to it, right? You've just got to take it as it comes. You've got your good days, you've got your bad ones. And I think you've just got to put your chin up and move on. Right. I've had days when there's an important meeting, my staff doesn't show up, or kids have something important and I've forgotten about it. And then, of course, I go on a guilt trip. But I think over the years, one just learns to kind of deal with it one day at a time. And I think that's the best way to deal with it. As much as you plan, I have a fridge which has the menu for the week put up, so that I don't have to rack my brains in the middle of a meeting when the staff calls up to ask what has to be made for the day. Trust me, even after a full-fledged menu on the fridge, I'm still at times stumped. right? Because either the kids say, no, this is not what we want to eat, or we suddenly realize that one of the ingredients is not available. So there's never a dull moment. Let me put it that way. Um, at work as well, I mean, when you believe that everything is calm and composed and you have everything under control, there will be suddenly, a bomb which will land on your head and you just honestly don't know how to deal with it. But yeah, I think staying in the moment becomes of importance. You can't have your brains running away, trying to, address two or three different things. So if you're in the moment at work, I would say stay focused, give it your 100%, solve for it, and then move on. When you get to the next task is when you start wondering what needs to be done. But I think to some extent, whatever balance I bring to our lives is largely by being extremely well planned. And I also have a lot of backup options. So I don't work with a plan A and B. I always work with a plan A, B, C, and D. Right. So even if both my backups don't work, then I know that the fourth backup probably will kick in and kind of work. And of course, there are days when all my four plans have completely gone to the dogs. And you've got to pick up and move on. It's all right. I mean, I think as women, we are wired to multitask. We're wired to handle complex situations. And I think we do well. It's just that we tend to beat ourselves up quite a bit. That's not required. I think if we're able to see through the day, you have a happy family at the end of it, and happy co-workers at the end of it. I think that's kind of, you've struck a balance somewhere along the way.
So, what advice would you give to young men and women aspiring to leadership?
I like the addition of young men. I think honestly, inspiration should not be only assigned to a gender. Inspiration can be to just about anybody. And I draw inspiration from different sets of people at different points. One advice that I would want to give out to all the young people, again, is that if you believe in something, put your heart and soul into it, give it your best. Even if it doesn't turn out to be extremely successful, from in the heart of your hearts that you've done your best, right? And I think many a times some of us tend to give up. A lot of youngsters tend to give up, saying that, hey, it's really not working out. But try it. You probably tried the first time, it's not worked. Try it the second time, but use a different methodology. Doesn't work out. Try it the third time, maybe do something different. But eventually, when you see success, I think that's when you really feel happy and satisfied that you've given it your best and it's really turned out the way you want it turned out. Young women, again, I feel never feel that you're any less at work. Or anywhere. It doesn't necessarily need to be at work. Speak up. I think a lot of us tend to be quiet, believing that whatever is dished out to us is something that we need to learn to live with. But I'm happy that the generation, at least of my daughter, teenage daughter, they don't believe in staying quiet. They believe in speaking up, and they believe that they are equal with everybody else. And I think that's the spirit that this generation carries. And I deeply admire about this generation that they're not carrying any baggage. They don't feel that, look, our parents behave this way and hence we need to also behave this way. They're, I think, extremely balanced. So I would think that this generation needs to speak up. They need to be more devoted, continue to do what they're aspiring for, and at the end of it, be happy. I mean, do what really you want to do. Don't get into something because either your parents are pressurizing you or you have peer pressure. Again, I think this generation gets into a lot of peer pressure. Don't get into peer pressure. At the end of it, your peers are only going to be part of your journey for a few years, right? You are the one who has to take that journey, whether it's personal, whether it's professional. You're the one who's going to be on that journey. So feel happy, take those decisions. At times you feel those decisions are incorrect. Drop it, move on to something that you like to do, right? It's never too late. I genuinely believe that it's never too late to reverse your decision or change your decision. Professionally, if you've taken up something and you believe that that's not working out, why don't you go explore something that you're really good at? What's stopping you? right? So I think that that's the limited set of thoughts that I would want to leave the younger generation with. And all the best.